think we can say with some pretty resolute confidence that 2022 has left most, if not all of us, in a mentally, emotionally, and sexually bad place. But if you clicked on this video, well, you are in a good place. This is the 1000 entries Unsolved Mystery Iceberg. Welcome. Sit back and relax, grab a snack. This is a compilation. I am video by video covering every single entry in its own little thing. And then I compile all 5 entries into one of these episodes. There's another episode before this if you're interested and you'd like to see a lot more naive, a lot less jaded version of me. You clicked on this video here, so let's go ahead and just enjoy the journey together. Thanks for watching. I'll see you while we get in there. Let's just dive right on in. On March 21st, 1998, Amy Lynn Bradley was living it up on the Rhapsody of the Seas, a luxury cruise currently in the Caribbean. It was supposed to be a good time, but I'm about to hit you with the true crime documentary classic, and you already read this video's title. It was a good time until it wasn't. You already know where this is going. Evening, March 23rd. Amy was at this time on the club dance floor. Her brother, Brad, was also there, and the two were having fun. Amy would eventually start to hang out with the ship's band, the Blue Orchid. 3:55 a.m., March 24th. The ship's computer system logged Brad entering the family's room. 3:40 a.m., the ship's computer logs Amy entering the room. At roughly 5 a.m., Ron Bradley, Amy's father, wakes up and checks on his children. Brad is absolutely schlumped in the room, and Amy is also absolutely schlumped, but on the porch with the door closed. Sometime between 5 to 6 a.m., Amy, one way or another, takes her cigarettes, her lighter, and then leaves the room. She is not seen doing this, and she is never heard from again. After 6 a.m., Ron notices that Amy is gone, and begins searching for her himself. 6:30 a.m., a now scared Ron wakes up the family. Sometime between 6:30 and 7 a.m., the Bradley family, unable to find or otherwise reach Amy, reports her missing to the ship's staff and pleads that they keep the boat at sea until Amy is found. The crew refuses and docks the boat in Caraco. This is widely believed to be what sealed Amy's fate. 7:50 a.m. After most of the passengers have disembarked the boat, the crew uses the intercom and asks Amy to come to the front desk. She doesn't. 12:15 to 1 p.m., a search is conducted to no avail. After the search, Royal Caribbean and the Netherlands Antilles start searching the waters near the boat and the town near it. They find nothing, no signs of foul play, no clues, and at the time no witnesses stepped forward. It was as if she just walked into a different world when she left that room. Obviously something happened, but what precisely? I love to quote Occam's razor in cases like these because oftentimes people independently investigating will come to some of the goofiest conclusions. No, r/unsolved mysteries, she did not steal a lifeboat to become a warlord in the Congo. In this case, however, I won't cite the easiest explanation. The easiest explanation is that while likely still half drunk and fully asleep on the porch, she fell overboard and drowned. The problem with this theory is that the boat was rather close to port at this time, and Bradley was both a strong swimmer and a trained lifeguard, not someone likely to drown. Theory 2, in my opinion, and in most people's opinion, is far more likely, and it's grim. Amy had been receiving a lot of attention from the ship's crew. I mean, the night she disappeared, she was drinking with the ship's band. The second theory posits that she had been targeted by the ship's crew, and in a hungover fugue as she left the room that morning, someone kidnapped her to sell her. This would also explain the uncooperativeness of the crew. The lack of camera footage exists, because surely a cruise liner like that would have to have had some form of surveillance. If you were in charge of this boat and were told a drunk woman had disappeared just before 7, you would surely look for her sometime before noon. Sadly, the sex trafficking theory has witness testimony to it as well. In August of 1998, a Canadian software engineer claimed to have seen her walking down the beach with 2 men. He correctly identified her tattoos and said he was almost certain that it was her and that she kept trying to get his attention, but he couldn't tell why. In 1999, a Navy officer went to a brothel. There he claimed to have met a woman who frantically told him her name was Amy Lynn Bradley and she was being held against her will. He didn't speak on this for years, though, cowardly keeping quiet in fear of his military career. In 2005, a woman named Judy Moore would claim to see a woman in a grocery store bathroom who told her her name was Amy and she was from Virginia, Bradley's home state. Then 3 men entered the bathroom and took the woman. Also, in 2005, the Bradley family was emailed a photo that was supposedly of Amy. This photo did bear a striking resemblance, and from there, silence. In 2010, Bradley was declared dead in absentia. The family has held out hope, appeared on shows. To this day, the FBI maintains a $25,000 reward for information that leads to her return. But with nearly 25 years between her disappearance and now, it is tragically safe to say that the chances are slim, and we will never know what happened to Amy Lynn Bradley. On October 17, 1952, over Oloron, France, UFOs would be spotted, and then a strange, cottony substance would drift down to the ground. Today we hear one person's speculation on what angel hair was. And what must be the easiest goddamn exercise in script writing I've ever had. This entry on the Iceberg, because psych, you're watching an Iceberg explained video, it's all a Reddit post, so I don't have to write a goddamn thing. Thank you so much. Praise be, this video is going to be great. Now, this strange cottony material, which you can see in the pictures up above, sorry for those listening at home, has been analyzed at the University of Turin. Essentially, it was a mineral composition with unusual amounts of the element boron. Although it tends to sublimate or oxidize, residues were left. Now, the OP of this comment, user/smooth imagination from 2 months ago, so big preach for that, was able to locate some more info on the report as well. It does exist and was studied at the university, same thing we've already been talking about. And then we move into speculation. It has been noted, sometimes an almondy or cyanide-like odor is reported with angel hair. Sometimes also sulfur or burned rubber smells are associated with the UFO phenomena. These smells may be related to the chemical refining of some element from another material. The element boron is potentially very interesting. Although the author has had feedback this may be a contaminant of the borosilicate glass used in the container used to store or test the material, it's doubtful that this would have been the unknown to the chemical department that tested it, but it stands out as an element ideal to a type of fusion called a neutronic fusion, which is ideal for spacecraft. Fusing of an isotope of boron and a proton from hydrogen produces no long-lived radioactive isotopes, does not turn the reactor casing radioactive, and it produces waste energy in a form that can be efficiently converted to electricity without having to be converted from heat via a turbine or an engine. One of these is that this fusion produces charged alpha particles that can, via MHD thruster, run as a generator turned into electrical current. The other via direct conversion of X-rays into electricity, as patented by Dr. Eric Lerner's team. Probably about 70% or more of the energy produced by this fusion can be directly converted into electricity. However, there is more than one isotope found in any natural source of boron, and only one is useful for this fusion. So it follows that if the element was being refined, then the bulk impurities would need chemically removing, and then the component of which, being the undesirable isotopes of boron, would be discarded along with all the other impurities in the source ore. This, the author believes, by way of an unusual method of refining, appears as an unstable extrude, aka angel hair. Now, right after that, we have a comment that will be very relevant in a later video, but I'm going to go ahead and give my critique and feedback on this theory. Now, this theory seems pretty great. Now, reading up on a neutronic fusion using my favorite online textbook, and also the reason I'm able to learn so many things so freaking fast, Wikipedia. If you aren't donating to them already, you should start doing so. OP definitely knew what they were talking about. A neutronic fusion does not produce nearly as much radiation as other forms of fusion. As a matter of fact, it produces 0.001% residual radiation, which is pretty incredible. The only problems with aneutronic fusion, however, is a Coulomb barrier and, well, just how little energy it puts out in comparison to other fusion forms that produce radiation. Basically, to have this fusion happen, you have to get the stuff really, really, really hot. You have to have it so hot that it could be on the hub, and then you've got to have the right kinds of fuel. Most commonly used is deuterium, which is a form of helium. However, you can see way down on this isotopes list just proton and boron. Now, boron 11 specifically, despite having one of the lowest energy outputs on the list, is the second most favored. The most favored in our current research is deuterium, and that's because it is the easiest, it has the lowest energy threshold, and it does not require plasma levels heat, which boron requires. Yes, to get boron to fuse in this manner, you have to get that to some plasma, like, you know, just a nice chilly few billion degrees Celsius. No big deal anyway. You've just got to get it hotter than the sun, which is fine. It's cool. Now, as for how effective I think this could be in space, I mean, yeah, if we could just figure out how to commercialize this, it'd be pretty effective in space. The problem with commercializing it is the temperatures needed to get there, the power balance, because you're putting power into it before you're getting power out, and not exactly in a good way. You know, 6.6 gigakelvins of temperature is not exactly easy to produce, and the power density, it is not a very dense form of power in comparison to other generators, so we're going to have to work out those kinks. Now, could this mean that perhaps boron is preferable, and it is a power source by aliens? Totally. We can be on that 3 a.m. History Channel grind set. I mean, stranger things have happened, and I personally am not going to come in here, slap my schmeat on the table, and tell you that aliens never have and never will exist, because at the end of the day, I don't know, I'm just some guy on the internet, and I like to keep an open mind. It's more fun that way. So what was up with the angel hair? No clue. Possibly boron. Possibly a neutronic fusion, which sounds really good, but does not produce a lot. On May 23, 1918, in New Orleans, Joseph Maggio and his wife Catherine were sleeping when someone entered their home with an axe, owned by the Maggio family, and a straight razor, also owned by the Maggio family. The intruders slit their throats and then proceeded to bash their heads in with the axe. 2 hours later, Joe's brother found the bodies. Most impressively, Joe Maggio had survived until mere minutes after Andrew and Jake Maggio found him. Andrew quickly became the prime suspect, as he not only lived with Joe and Catherine, but that straight razor used in the killing was his. In the early morning of June 27, 1918, Louis Bessemer and his mistress would be attacked. An intruder with one of Bessemer's own axes. His mistress, Harriet Lowe, was severely injured, barely conscious, and in a delirium. She did name Bessemer as an attacker, and the investigation found letters written in Yiddish and Russian sent and received from Bessemer's store. They believed him to be a spy for the Kaiser, and his killing related to, spy stuff? The geniuses in charge of this playdate for the intellectually inept called an investigation gave no evidence to show that Bessemer actually crushed his own skull, but he was let go and lived, unlike the battered Lowe. On August 5th, Anna Schneider, an 8-month pregnant woman, was attacked. She somehow lived and gave birth to what must be the United States' only axe baby, and the next victims were found by a baker, which I can only imagine went like,
"Hey, knock knock, I got you." Oh my god!
You'll never guess in what way these murders occurred. 1 makes an incident, 2 makes a coincidence, 3, however, is a pattern. 12, on the other hand, marks a serious issue, and the police couldn't keep that a secret forever. I also am not going to keep secrets. I and many others have explained this already, and true crime always performs like complete and utter monetization, so I'm kind of sick of it. So if you want the whole detailed list of victims, check the Ultimate True Crime Iceberg series, link up above, or because everyone and their mother likes true crime, one of the thousands of other videos on this. Now that you have that context, let's talk about what makes this serial killer so absurd. His love for jazz. Might sound absolutely bizarre, but what really makes this obnoxious... Susan? We can talk about this. What makes this guy memorable is the strange letters he or someone claiming to be him sent to the police. Hell, March 13th, 1919. Esteemed mortal, they have never caught me, and they never will. They have never seen me, for I am invisible. Even as the ether that surrounds your earth, I am not a human being, but a spirit and a demon from the hottest hell. I am what you Orleanians and your foolish police call the Axeman. When I see fit, I shall come and claim other victims. I alone know whom they shall be. I shall leave no clue except my bloody axe, besmeared with blood and brains of he who I have sent below to keep me company. I wish you may tell the police to be careful not to rile me. Of course, I am a reasonable spirit. I take no offense at the way they have conducted their investigations in the past. In fact, they have been so utterly stupid as to not only amuse me, but His Satanic Majesty, Francis Joseph, etc. But tell them to beware. Let them not try to discover what I am, for it were better that they were never born than incur the wrath of the Axeman. I don't think there's any need of such a warning, for I feel sure the police will always dodge me, as they have in the past. They are wise, and know how to keep away from all harm. Undoubtedly, you Orleanians think of me as a most horrible murderer, which I am, but I could be much worse if I wanted to. If I wished, I could pay a visit to your city every night. At will, I could slay thousands of your best citizens, for I am in close relationship with the Angel of Death. Now, to be exact, at 12:15 earthly time, on next Tuesday night, I'm going to pass over New Orleans. In my infinite mercy, I'm going to make a little proposition to you people. Here it is. I am very fond of jazz music, and I swear by all the devils in the nether regions that every person shall be spared in whose home a jazz band is in full swing at the time I have just mentioned. If everyone has a jazz band going, well then so much the better for you people. One thing is certain, and that is some of your people who do not jazz it out on that specific Tuesday night, if there be any, will get the axe. Well, as I am cold and crave the warmth of my native Tartarus, and it is about time I leave your earthly home, I will cease my discourse, hoping that thou wilt publish this, that it may go well with thee. I have been, am, and will be the worst spirit that ever existed, in fact or realm of fantasy, the Axeman. Wow, this guy clearly never knew what George Bush was about to do. There's a lot to unpack here. Like, most of all, Francis Joseph being Satan. No one, and I mean no one, ever touches upon this little fact. I do not, just for the life of me, understand what King Francis Joseph I of Austria even did to be called that. What made this serial killer just decide, yeah, this guy's literally the embodiment of evil? Not to mention jazz it out. Who the fuck? That sounds like a phrase for ejaculate. Now, it is said, on the fateful night that the Axeman was to fly over the city menacingly, that every house was playing jazz, and those that weren't went to clubs, bars, and restaurants to escape his wrath. After this act of trolling, the murders trailed off and sputtered out, the Axeman going away uncaught forever. There's a handful of theories on who this guy might have been. Psych. There's like one potential suspect. Because those involved with the crimes were ruled out. Andrew Maggio was arrested, and then the Axeman struck again. Bessemer was suspected, but anyone who wasn't thrown at the wall full force as an infant could tell you why the barely clinging to life guy couldn't have done it. So who? After an absurd amount of fighting with Google to give me the right results following a lead I definitely did not hear in a BuzzFeed Unsolved video, I at last unearthed Joseph Mumphrey. Joe was a pretty simple guy, leader of a blackmailing ring who targeted Italian grocers, which is really weird. How do you even stumble upon that as a profitable business venture?
Hey, Mr. Maggio. Dirty Lenny and Bicycle Michael saw you porking a prostitute in the French Quarter. Sure would be a shame if your wife found out, huh? Am I nude under this outfit? That's for me to know, and you to be afraid of. Now where's the goddamn money?
Now, Mumphrey's ring ran at the same time as the Axe murders and stopped when he dipped out west to evade legal trouble. Once you get easy money, though, you want to keep easy money, and he got back on the criminal grind set. Out in California, he would widow a woman potentially for the second time. Mrs. Pepitone, survivor of the Axeman, was threatened by Mumphrey when he broke into her house to rob her. He said, "I will widow you again," and then she shot him 8 times. So he's clearly implying he would kill her husband again, however it didn't end well for Mr. Eats Lead there, and this theory makes much more sense than bro is just a demon. Either way, this mystery remains unsolved. I think it's just absolutely hilarious, though, how a guy with a 50-50 kill rate with an axe when his victims are sleeping is like, but I could kill thousands if I so pleased. Totally, man, totally. Of course, this mystery likely never will be solved just because of how long it's been since the Axeman killings happened. It just makes it very easy for some dudes on the internet to look back and be like, what an idiot. Lightning is cool stuff. I mean, something hotter than the sun with a super weapon level of energy just randomly detonating because of silly little things like opposing charges and rain? That sounds pretty awesome. Nukes, those are for chumps. Zeus had the right idea. Way cooler. Just a random bolt of explosiveness smiting down your enemies. Sounds awesome. What might be kind of surprising if you're not a meteorologist, general knowledge hunter, or unhinged YouTuber with a quest is that there are different kinds of lightning. We aren't here to talk about sprites or dark lightning, which is a mini gamma ray burst and kinda terrifying. No, we're here to talk about balls. Ball lightning has to be one of the wankiest forms of lightning, mostly because we aren't even sure it exists, and for most of modern science, we were confounded by it and are absolutely nowhere near understanding what it could be now that we've proven it's something that could exist. It starts all the way back in 1195 from Wikipedia. The Chronicle of Gervase of Canterbury, an English monk, contains what is possibly the earliest known reference to ball lightning. Dated the 7th of June, 1195, he states, "A marvelous sign descended near London, consisting of a dense and dark cloud, emitting a white substance that grew into a spherical shape under the cloud, from which a fiery globe fell toward the river." Physicist Emeritus Professor Brian Tanner and historian Giles Casper of Durham University identified the Chronicle entry as probably describing ball lightning, and noted its similarity to other accounts. Gervase's description of a white substance coming out of a dark cloud, falling as a spinning fiery sphere, and then having some horizontal motion is very similar to historic and contemporary descriptions of ball lightning. It is fascinating to see how closely Gervase's 12th century description matches modern reports of ball lightning. One early account reports on the great thunderstorm at a church in Widecombe-in-the-Moor, Devon, England, on October 21st, 1638. 4 people died and approximately 60 suffered injuries during a severe storm. Witnesses described an 8-foot ball of fire striking and entering the church, nearly destroying it. Large stones from the church were hurled onto the ground through large wooden beams. The ball of fire allegedly smashed the pews and many windows and filled the church with a foul, sulphurous odor and dark, thick smoke. I like 'em thick. The ball of fire reportedly divided into 2 segments, one exiting through a window by smashing it open, the other disappearing somewhere inside the church. Because of fire and the sulfur smell, contemporaries explained the ball as the devil, or as the flames of hell. Later, some blamed the entire incident on two people who had been playing cards in the pews during the sermon, thereby incurring God's wrath. Because God is gonna see some dudes playing a game of cards out of all of the horrible shit happening on this planet and be like, You villains! And just strike them down. Definitely. Then we have the sloop Catherine and Mary. In December 1726, a number of British newspapers printed an extract of a letter from John Howell of the sloop Catherine and Mary. As we were coming through the Gulf of Florida on the 29th of August, a large ball of fire fell from the element and split our mast into 10,000 pieces, if it were possible, split our main beam, also 3 planks of the side underwater and 3 of the deck, killed 1 man. Another had his hand carried off. Had it not been for the violent rains, our sails would have been a blast of fire. Next we have the HMS Montague. One particularly large example was reported on the authority of Dr. Gregory in 1749. Admiral Chambers aboard the Montague, 4th of November 1749, was taking an observation just before noon. He had observed a large ball of blue fire about 3 miles distant from them. They immediately lowered their topsails, but it came so fast upon them before they could raise the main tack, they observed the ball rise almost perpendicularly, and not above 40 or 50 yards from the main chains when it went off with an explosion, as if 100 cannons had been discharged at the same time, leaving behind it a strong sulphurous smell. By this explosion, the main topmast was shattered into pieces, and the main mast went down to keel. 5 men were knocked down, and one of them very bruised. Just before the explosion, the ball seemed to be the size of a large millstone. Now, what's odd is that from Wikipedia, most of the sightings either happen during thunderstorms or at sea. Occasionally, it just makes appearances during a regular day, just casually pulling up to remind stupid humans that the world is full of things that they don't and may never understand in their short, silly little lifetimes. But hey, we're here, so what the Like I said way back in the intro, if the internet hasn't fried your brain's attention span or ability to remember, there's a lot of theories out there, and in a first, during research of a video, I actually stumbled upon evidence from Chinese research, which is neat. But back on track. Theory 1, Silica. Basically, if you smack silica with the power of a sun for a little bit, it tends to start acting funky, floating, definitely electrically charged, plays sax, made Monica Lewinsky suck his... Oh, that's Bill Clinton. Anyway, the big problem the silica theory has, that a lot of sad, porn-addicted men also have, is that even though it does get electrically charged and funky, it does not last. So it can't just for nary more than a minute. I could get into more of the science-y shenanigans, but I'll keep it real. It doesn't make much sense if you're not super into physics and why it might be a vacuum and a thin layer of electrons. Theory 2, something spooky. Now, as we get further into this video series, because yeah, you're actually watching an Iceberg Explained video, I get to talk about ghostly orbs and wonky lights. Ball lightning has the added quirk of being explosive. But who's to say it isn't something ghastly that also, arcs and sparks and detonates? Theory 3, aliens. Yep, put on the tinfoil condom, get ready to test your cum for MDMA. I'm on that History Channel grind set. If you'll remember the angel hair video, link above if you haven't seen it, we talked about how it could be a perfect reaction, and there was this very interesting comment. First off, we have the comment that was the entire video, and then we have a reply. This is important. You know what else is poorly studied and has the same smell? Ball lightning. So, it could be somehow that we're getting a neutronic fusion naturally occurring using boron, leaving us with this funky sulfurous smell. So, it could be used possibly by aliens. It's a stretch, honestly, but it's better than, it's not real, this is all a hoax, which you'll never believe, and the way that Unsolved Mysteries go, people have thrown that one around too. Real creative, everybody, really creative. So while I misled you and it's not entirely aliens, it could be a reaction used as a fuel source by what is potentially aliens. So there you have it. Now we have potentially 3 videos all linked together by balls and boron, because there's this video, the angel hair video, and then the brown mountain lights video that comes in the future, which I think is pretty awesome. So lovers of connections, eat your heart out.
I am here to get a little depressing in your iceberg. Sorry, not sorry. At the time that I'm recording this, not at the time that the video comes out, but at the time that I'm recording this, today marks the 6-year anniversary of a close friend's passing from suicide. It is a very personal topic. It's a great detractor of my mental health in many ways, but it's why I feel that it's important to take the time out of this video to just kind of shout it out. And some people might think that this is frivolous or that it's unnecessary or whatever. Go ahead, think that. This is for the people who are struggling with those feelings or worry that someone they care about might be struggling with those feelings. There is no weakness in seeking mental assistance and help for your problems. There's no weakness in that in the slightest. There is also no weakness and no harm in being there for a friend who you are concerned about, or in getting a friend help that they desperately need. There's a lot of stereotypes around mental health, and we've taken great steps, fantastic steps, to reducing those, but still the topic has this kind of cloud around it that I don't exactly feel is conducive or good for people's growth or well-being. So I just wanted to take this time to talk about it and just say that it's okay to look for help if you need it, and that the people around you do care. That was all. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. I hope you're enjoying the video so far.
Sometime in 2011, the Ocean X team, a well-known wreck recovery group and seller of liquor fished out of the ocean, was cruising the Baltic looking for a solid score. What they found was an extremely strange object, an object that would shut down any electronic equipment near it. That object would go on to be called the Baltic Sea Anomaly, and originally people were super hyped because 1, the dirt near it looked as though it had been disturbed, tracks that would seemingly indicate a very fast smacking into the seabed followed by skidding, and B, it looked like the Millennium Falcon. So naturally, everyone way too obsessed with Star Wars immediately hailed the discovery of George Lucas's birthplace. Samples recovered from the structure showed it was basalt, though, a volcanic rock very, very far away from any volcanic activity. Weird, but it does kill off the UFO hype unless aliens just be schmobbing around in literal Flintstone whips.
Damn, we gotta go.
So what exactly was the Baltic Sea Anomaly? Theory 1. UFO.
Did you really think that we were gonna talk about UFOs after I spent like the first opening minutes of the video debunking UFOs? Think, Mark, think. Jesus Christ.
Theory 2. Lost civilization theory. Further studies claim to have seen lines, rooms, hallways, and other strange objects. At least they did according to this Bedtime Stories video. But I can't find any reading or articles of this online myself, so this could be misinformation. So the theory with this is that it could be some now submerged Stonehenge-like religious site. But it would be an incredible case if it was, because Stonehenge is 5,000 years old, and the last time the Baltic Sea was above land was nearly 11,000 years ago. For a civilization to have built such a site and to have it last underwater 10,000 years would have to be one of, if not the longest-standing testament to human tenacity, endurance, and an absurd want to play with big rocks and or big cock. I cannot prove this theory, but I can't disprove it, so it stands. Theory 3. Nazis. You thought the Amelia Earhart video I released months ago got weird? Yeah, one of the leading theories is that this was a failed attempt by the Third Reich to create an underwater establishment. Why would the Nazis use basalt of all materials? Excellent question, but the leading fact bounced about as evidence for this is the radio and electric jamming capabilities the weird rock has. If the Nazis did attempt to make an emergency base, it makes sense for it to have equipment disabling properties near it, and for it to be close to home for these disgusting pigs. Luckily, if this theory is the case, all those bastards got what was coming to them, a horrific death by drowning. Theory 4. It's just a rock, bro. Oh, Occam's razor, my beloved. The simple answer tends to be correct. What is more simple than this giant rock at the bottom of the ocean is just that. A giant rock under the sea. There's still the question of how it got there, though, probably yeeted by some volcano, but the lines, supposedly, and recorded electric disabling properties make this stuffed with loose ends. Theory 4. Just a hoax. Oh, look, my favorite. The most creative, inventive, and earth-shattering way to have discourse on the unknown. If I don't know what it is, it's clearly fake. The people who tout hoax as an actual explanation to most things probably don't believe in the female orgasm, as they've never seen one, and they can't prove its existence, nor do they believe in happiness, as they've never felt it. Now, of course, whatever this big rock under the ocean is, I can't really say myself. I personally lean towards weird rock theory. I mean, whatever's causing stuff to go haywire down there is causing stuff to go haywire down there, but it's probably just a rock. Occam's razor is on top in my logic. You know, the simple answer tends to be correct, because that's typically how a lot of things are in most of life, unless you're actively investigating a very deep and complex mystery, which this does not seem to be. Whatever you want to think, though, you're a big, grown, adult human being, woman, man, unidentified eldritch horror, so you decide that.
Hi, we did it. We made it to the end of the video. These Iceberg episodes are very intriguing for me to edit, especially after I basically made a video calling it quits on all icebergs except for this one. So I'm sure that the iceberg enjoyers have eaten their heart out on this video. Congrats. I did it. I made a video that's over 30 minutes long. Everyone who enjoys long videos can just feel so great now. Snarkiness aside, thank you so much for watching. It really does mean the world to me that I can make these videos and have an audience, and it's incredible. I'm really thankful for it. I really do appreciate it every day, and I love making these videos, and I love what I have. It's fantastic. It's just, I guess, weird, because I've undergone a lot of creative changes over the last few months, and a few of these videos are 3-4 months old. So this was interesting to put together. The next ones that come out from here, though, are all going to be much more new, and I hope that that reflects that. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and just subscribe. Completely free. Just do it. Just push the button. It's down below. As always, thank you to the patrons. They're on screen right now. It is with their assistance that I can do this. If you'd like to join the Patreon, the link is always down in the description below. Thank you so much for watching once more. Have a great time, and until next time, memento mori.